Ka St. Anthony's College lingba ka Department of Value Education ringkat ka jingsnok tilang ka DBHE South Asia hapo ka jingpet jangka IKS barbalabai tingkat ke Indian Council of Social Science Research Northeastern Region Center kalak pelong ya ka workshop ka basi singi halor ka contextualizing Indian knowledge systems and Indian value systems for holistic and value-based higher education. Hagani ka singi lawan man ay workshop do Professor Tarikonda when katang Bharat badi Professor ka Civil Engineering and Center na Guwahati Dr. Father Jose Chankapura SDB badi President ka Sacred Heart Theological College badi Professor Cecilia A. Maulong badi Jinghikai hag Department of History jang ka School ba nihu. Hagani si lawan bandar mentalang do Father Arcadius Puwen badi Principal, Father Jovi Joseph badi Head Department of Value Education nang ta kinohikai ki khna pule bat ki basyakhat sungba. Na kaliang kinongkran ki bala batai shai halo ki jingdon kam jaka Indian Knowledge System ka bala tip lingkot kum ka IKS bat ka ka kamram jangka ha ki jingpule ki bakham shalor. La yoru ya ki jingpal shai halor ka Indian Value System ki badi ki jingpule trairi kum ki dharma seva bat kiwe ki badai bagi jingpuli msim bala yoru ya ke jingbatai bashai halo ke jingdan kampat ya ke jingpuli trai jela ki badai ke jingpuli shafang ke jela ke jingya linti bar ke jingtip ki bakham banya shushu halor kalong kaman bar ke jing sedang jungka than chatai mingi bat ha ke jela mai kalya.
Reaching out and respect, compassion and kindness to everyone, especially the most needy. Once we reach an intensity of self-awareness in knowledge and in actuality, the next step is to become conscious of, immersion in and identification with all, resulting in not a loss but unspeakable bliss. There is the call and the duty to reach out in charity to everyone, irrespective of caste or creed or status. At the Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893, Vivekananda spoke of combining spiritual consciousness and social responsibility precisely for this reason, not to focus on oneself but reach out to the others as much as possible. If we look at the laws of Manu, the rules for private and civic behavior, we find this value: wound not another, go by him provoked. Utter no word to pain thy fellow creatures, even though wronged. Treat not with disrespect thy father, mother, teacher, elder. Do no one injury by thought or deed. Give to the poor, but talk not of your gifts. Christianity's call is to love others as we love ourselves and to be kind and forgiving even to enemies. We read in the Bible, if anyone says, I love God, but hates his brother, he is a liar.
Academic research, technological innovation and societal growth. That is what is meant for. And we have several disciplines of such. And in fact, IITs and IIT Guwahati as well plays an important role in education and bringing up students to meet that requirement and placing them in different positions. Important portfolios, important positions. So there are several changes that have happened with the new education policy 2020. So where there is a lot of emphasis on multidisciplinary, which is a need of the hour, and the reason is because the civil engineers no longer are trained in contemporary things, but they are also are working with several other disciplines. In fact, I myself have worked with biosciences. A lot of publications in Langmore. Okay, so worked on SARS-CoV-2 virus. Okay, so we are going away from the boundaries, beyond the boundaries, and reaching the goals by connecting with other systems. Discuss about why IKS is important. Indian knowledge system, Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, often we use as a synonym to the IKS. Why Bharat is relevant even today and its knowledge systems. So to understand that, before, let us go into the old civilizations that were existing earlier and what contributions they made and what societies lived, how they were. I don't know how many of you heard, there is a civilization called Maya, okay, near South America. So there is good information that is currently available. So in France, in Europe especially, there is in libraries, some information is available about how this civilization lived. They used to have a calendar system. Calendar system is very important for all of us to understand how the civilization actually survived. Because agriculture practices, navigation, everything is linked with the calendar system. So they used to have a Solgin, which is 260-day calendar system. Interesting. This is not 365 or 354 or any other thing, but this is 260.
Integrate Indian knowledge system into our higher education. Are we prepared for the radical change it might bring to our current assessment and grading system? Or are we only looking to add them as an extra subject?
Please, I'll explain. During British time, okay, we used to have one society, not in India, in England, London, Asiatic Society. Have you heard about it? They used to discuss only about philosophy. Which philosophy? Indian philosophy.
So as you can see there on the slide, that it is basically the accumulated knowledge, skills, innovation, practices, etc. developed by communities over generations. So here, this also includes indigenous communities, but we will see further where it is different. So over generations, through a constant interaction with their social, cultural, and natural environments. It is transmitted primarily through oral traditions, observation, participation, so it's experiential in nature, and everyday practice rather than through formal education. TK is dynamic, adapting to changing environments, social conditions while maintaining continuity with the past. This is a very important point. Now, what are the key characteristics? Some of the things that they share with indigenous knowledge, and that is it's passed through generations, it's practice-based and experiential, that again, it shares with indigenous knowledge, it's context-specific, that is, it's related to certain cultural practices. This is where it might be slightly different in terms, compared with indigenous knowledge. It's dynamic, and then of course, some of the areas in which we can talk of traditional knowledge is agriculture, medicine, crafts, architecture, food systems, and ecological management. Few examples to highlight this point, that is traditional knowledge. I've put there Sweden agriculture, or what we are very familiar with, June cultivation. So what's interesting is that June cultivation is traditional knowledge because it's practiced by many communities. Next, adaptive and dynamic practices evolve with environmental and social change while maintaining core traditional values, experiential learning, ecological ethics. Now, what counts as indigenous knowledge or traditional knowledge? In fact, the Western paradigm tends to place indigenous knowledge as secondary, always. Primarily because it is experiential in nature, it is passed down orally, and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, indigenous people also produce knowledge in its own right. All right? Knowledge in its own right. For example, knowing how to build a root bridge or to process any plants. Somebody was asking about plants earlier. How is it that, our own, practitioners of ethnomedicine, how do they understand, how do they know plants, and certain plants are toxic unless you process them in a certain way, how you use them? All of that is done, and none of this is written in the equations, but through a period of trial and error, this has been built up, a kind of a data bank has been built up. and that is what we call experiential learning, which is passed down generations.